Okay, good day to you all from Pipers'Persuasion. And when I say good day, I better mention that it's Thursday the 6th of April 2023 and it's morning in Canada, where we're filming with the aid of Peter Dutch Vandenberg, Programme Coordinator, TV Production Professor of Broadcasting, Radio, TV and Film in the School of Media, Niagara College. That's quite a mouthful, but then it's a big job for this film team from the School of Media at Niagara. And Dutch in this instance is he's ably assisted by Ainsley, who's a well-known piper in Canada, and Trent, who doesn't play the drums, but he works a camera. So that's great. At this end, we've got Mike Higgins, who is an independent filmmaker, and for his sins, he used to work with BBC Scotland as a journalist and various other things. So we're ready to really conduct this interview, which I've been waiting 10 years now to interview the famous Tommy Anderson, piper and pipe major of many pipe bands in Scotland, Ireland and Canada. Tommy, you were known, to the best of my knowledge, as a guy who went for sound, took the top sound quality in a pipe band. Any pipe band you were associated with as pipe major or otherwise, and you were known to achieve a great sound quality. And I'm just wondering where that came from. How did you get that ability, and how did you install it in the various bands that you were associated with?
I take it it was just a natural thing, because I don't remember doing anything to achieve it. I worked on my own instrument and got the sound I wanted, and any players that were with me, I would work them into the same thing and get them used to having the same sound.
So did that require a great ability with the people that you were working with, or did you manage to bring them on and instill into them exactly what you wanted them to do in order to achieve the sound that you wished to acquire?
Yes, I worked with them to create as best I could to get them to get the same kind of... I think it's a kind of natural thing. I mean, Ian McLennan had it, for example.
I remember when I joined the police band, Ronnie Laurie had to take me aside. I thought I blew quite a nice tone at that time out my pipes, but he kept on shouting in my ear, blow harder, 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 in the top hand to bring out the F and the E and the high A, and say, that's the sound, keep that sound in your head, that's what we're trying to achieve here. So I had years of playing pipes, but that took up to another level, and I wondered if you ever had to do that with chaps that you had in your band. I know you worked with a lot of younger guys in many of your bands, including the Renfrew from my memory. And how did you work with them to get this sound? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, what you mentioned there about Ronnie getting you to push harder, I guess I never mentioned that, but that's one of the things you had to do. And when you were teaching, you had to get them to do it. You could say bad words, but I won't say bad words.
I take it, the biggest problem you would have with the younger guys would be to get them to blow steadily, because the bag control is everything with a bagpipe. If you're an unsteady blower, you're absolutely no use to any top rate band.
Yeah, on that end of it, working with them, I got them to put a coin between their elbow and the bag, and if the coin dropped, they weren't keeping the right pressure on it.
Well, that's you see, that's a wonderful tip for lots of guys out there who are operating with the grade 3, grade 4 bands and all the rest of it, and trying to get a better sound. And it's tips like that that we're looking for the folks that watch Pipers'Persuasion. And I think we'll maybe come back to that one later. What year was it that you joined Babcock's and Wilcock's pipe band and then went on to play with Johnson Pipe Band under Bobby
I think
Reid?
it was 1942, I think. It's in that region anyway.
Jeez, oh. Aye. What age would you be then, roughly?
About 10.
Were you quite tall, or could you manage a set of pipes, a full set of pipes, okay?
Yeah, well, that's what I never had anything else, so yeah.
I remember Brian Donaldson, he had to put his head in between the bass drone and the middle tenor to get his pipes going when he was 9 or 10 years of age. That was the guy who went on to be pipe major in the 1st Battalion Scots Guards, of course, you know. So, what was your experience with Bobby Reid? How did he improve you?
He was very good. He just the reason I went there, persuaded to go there, he just was just teaching Johnson. So, but I was only there for about a year, and then went to Paisley, British Legion.
Obviously, you know John Triquare then.
He was actually a very good pipe instructor and pipe major. He was an army man.
Yes, he was. Aye, he learned in the prisoner of war camp under Donald MacLean, Big Donald MacLean of Lewis, who taught him in the prisoner of war camp. One chanter got passed right round the whole group, and Tommy was a boxer as well in the army. And I went to his band when I was 15. That was my first pipe band. But John got a good sound out of his pipe bands as well, didn't he? They interestingly played one of Donald MacLean's 2/4 marches that Donald had composed, Major Manson at Clachan-Truchel. And Miss Elspeth Campbell, that was the first 2/4 marches I played with that band.
Red Hackle after that.
Who's pipe major?
Angus MacLeod.
Angus MacLeod. And Angus took a drink, didn't he?
More than a wee one. I don't know how the man stood up.
Well, he didn't. He frequently fell after swallowing half a bottle at one go, you know. It's a nice man, mind you, if I recall. How long were you with Red Hackle, and did you win any prizes?
Oh yeah, we did well with the Hackle. What happened was Angus was judging a BB contest in Paisley, which I was still in. And that's when he asked me to come and join him. So I did that. We had a lot of good players there, like Andy Wright and Norman Gillis.
Yeah.
They were all part of that band.
Yeah. I joined it later on, and Hamish McLaughlin and Robert Stewart were in it, and wee Ferguson, what's his name, from Isla, he was Douglas,
there.
Yeah. Dougie Ferguson. He's a nice, quiet man, Dougie.
Okay.
So, did you join the army, national service after that?
Well, I had no choice.
Tell the folks about your experience in the army and piping there.
Well, when I went in, it was national service. He just would throw, and I tried to get into a Scottish regiment because I wanted to get into a band. But I guess I tried too hard, so they kept putting me into the gunner. We get posted to Germany, and all the Scottish regiments had just been moved out. And the regiment suddenly realised they'd no pipers.
Was that
Yeah,
an
it was a Royal
artillery
Artillery I
regiment,
was
did I
in, yeah.
hear you say?
I get moved everywhere. I had a great 2 years, because they just kept moving me to different regiments. You know the stuff they do, the messes. They have to do all that.
The dinners. So
that's what I got.
Dinners
That's what I got to do all the time.
Yeah.
So actually, I wasn't playing with anybody, but I was playing. Better time after I finished. You see, because remember it was still under kind of war regulations, so I couldn't go. I had to have MPs take me everywhere I went. And after I finished with the messes, I'd go to the local pubs. And the Germans loved the pipes. You just stood there and you just played.
Did you learn to speak any German
I could
when
speak
you were there, Tommy?
reasonably. I mean, I can't remember it now. You pick it up very easily. You pick it up very, very easily when you're with the people, because it's quite an easy language. When I come out, I briefly just went, but then Renfrew approached me to see if I'd come and interested in taking over, because Tommy Shearer was a pipe major at that stage, but he was emigrating to the States, and they were looking for a replacement. Okay. So that's how I finished up in Renfrew.
Mm-hmm. I see. I've written down the name Andrew Keithley somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that. No. He was a army pipe major at Edinburgh Castle. But partly what it was at that time, because Tom McPherson, Ian McClellan, one of the McAllisters out the shots. So Andy Peasley finished up with all top players in his band. So he liked what we did. So he used to come to the Renfrew practices to listen to what we were doing. So that was the connection.
Right. But and Tommy Shearer, he left, went to America. You took over a Renfrew pipe band, and what kind of condition was it in? Was it a good band when you took it over, Tommy?
That was part of the thing we had to go, because we had a lot of good players at that time.
Were they younger players, or were they
no, it was
a mature
it was kind of half and half
group, or what?
Like Ian McClellan. I mean, he was only a boy then.
Aye. It would be, because I think you mentioned 1958 is when you went there. Aye. What success did you have with Renfrew, Tommy?
Pretty good success. We'd always been the top three. We won a lot of the minor contests, but the majors, between Cowell and the Worlds, we were in the top three, the first three all the time. We were never first though. We were always second or third.
Did you ever win the girl trophy at Cowell then? No? No,
we never won first. We were always second or third. With 6 years, second, third, second, third.
You'd be at that time like what Boghall has been for the last many years. Always thereabouts, you know. And so a very, very laudable and well-respected group there. Indeed, I enjoyed when I joined Renfrew ever so briefly in 1963 or something like that. And but it was quite a young group of pipers you had at that time. And Ian McClellan had joined the Glasgow City of Glasgow Police Pipe Band. And I went on to join that in 1965 and moved on as well. But I remember my time with Renfrew quite fondly because you played a lot of great tunes. And I remember you're the first one to play hornpipes going down the street
right,
after
yeah.
the competition. Like so the wee man from Skye and all that sort of stuff. Where did you get these
Just
ideas
my
from?
own ideas, I just want to do something different.
And it was quite different. It was radically different from
That's
everybody
right, yeah.
else, what everybody else is playing
And-
going down the street sort of thing.
And you see, you could march it just the same. A lot of people didn't seem to realise you could still march it.
Aye. And I remember Big Ronnie Laurie playing reels as they marched down the street, and he played a lot of big competition reels. And we marched down the street to that, and
That's
it
right,
was just a
yeah.
steady tempo, and that's it, you know. Aye, but you get fed up playing the wee sort of kitchen favourites at that time and all the rest of it, and it was
Yeah,
nice,
too.
very refreshing indeed. I think you did exceedingly well with all that. Right, what took you across to Dublin and Ireland?
The company was supposed to open a factory in Dublin, and I get the chance of moving to the factory, so I went there. Made car seats. It was foam, and well, it used to be rubber before that, but it was all foam. All the seats that it goes into furniture and into cars.
And what was your actual position with that firm? What did you do?
Well,
with it?
I was a kind of general manager for the whole of that section, not the whole company, just that section.
So that's good. And did you buy a house or did you rent when you were crossing Ireland?
We bought. Well, the same way, to make it, put it right, the company that took me over paid the then payment for the house. I had to pay it back. but they put the money up front, so that I was able to get into the house.
Aye, a decent place. So, and then you took up with the bands in Ireland. Now, where did you go at first? Was it St Lawrence Pipe Band?
No, well, St Lawrence was on my doorstep. It's just a wee grade 4, grade 3 band. So I was there all the time. I was never actually playing with them, but I taught them because I was so local. I just went there all the time.
Yeah.
Then Sean Falloon had moved over to Ireland.
He was well known in Ireland at that time, and what was it, the band St Patrick's at that time. Could you discuss that for a second?
That's where we just started. Sean heard I'd just gone to Dublin, so he contacted me and asked me to come up to listen to the band. And then they wanted to go and take them over. I never thought I would do it because it was about 150 miles away from me to go up and down there twice a week. But I did it because, well, they just worked so hard that they pulled me in, I guess.
And were the roads quite decent for driving?
No, they're decent
time?
now. They weren't then. Well, it was still, they were decent enough. It was all country roads.
I imagine
no
there would
highways.
be a wee bit. You wouldn't be able to drive fast over the 150 miles. It'd take you quite a few hours to cover that. What kind of stuff did you play with them, and what grade were they?
They were grade 4, but they moved up very fast. I mean, I couldn't believe the work they put in, and we moved right up to grade 1.
And were they all good at reading music?
All except one. I'd one player when it started. He never read a note of music, and I spoke to Sean. It was actually Sean's brother, but I spoke to Sean and I said, "This is going to be a problem because I don't think he's going to make it." But anyway, we kept practicing, and what he done, he sat at the end of the table. So you get round all the individual players.
Uh-huh.
By the time you got to him, he could play it.
He must have been reasonably intelligent then, just cutting on to all the tunes. I take it he learned the tunes as quick as everybody else.
Well,
then,
be a part at a time, but you know But the next time you didn't need to go back over it with him. He could play it.
Were you good at that yourself? Were you good at memorising tunes all your life? Well, here, wait a minute. Tell me about Lanark and the World Pipe Band Championships and St Patrick's. The results you achieved there. That was 1971.
That was. We went over it. It was pouring. It was pouring rain. So we stayed on the bus with practice chancers and pads, practicing, did our practice that way. About 15 minutes before we were due to go in the field, we come out, struck up, tuned up, went on. Nobody could believe it.
Aye.
But in saying that, we had practiced the day before. We had a full practice the day before. So the instruments were all well set.
Uh-huh.
So what we did that day, I mean, everybody thought, how the heck could you step up off the bus and play? But the instruments were all well tuned. So it was just a quick tuning on the field.
And see, the other people competing wouldn't do that. And they would be practicing the rain and going with the wet pipes and a bad sound and make mistakes. So you'd come onto that field fresh. So what prizes did you win that day?
We were second in piping, fourth in drumming, and John McAllister put us last in ensemble.
Why do you think he did that?
I think you know. I think you know.
Oh dear. Quite a few folk are interested in your connection with Andrew Warnock and the circumstances of the polypenko or plastic chanter. This had never been manufactured before. It was right off. This is something entirely new. So I want you to tell us a story about how you came across the polypenko and what happened to it after that.
I used to set all the chanters, the fine tune the last bit after he made them. I did the fine tuning, and to go and pick up a load of blackwood, a load of blackwood at the docks. So I went with him, and while we were waiting and customs was clearing all the stuff, we walked along the pier and we found this tubes of polypenko. So what put Andy's mind onto it a wee bit, it was like 2.5 inch diameter. So Andy thought, this would save, if this stuff worked, it would save an awful lot of time, because cutting all the blackwood down to the size before you could put it in the lathe. Whereas they could take this, the diameter was already there, put it right on the lathe. So that's what created it. We tried it, it was tried, but it worked, but it didn't work. It was just not the same as wood.
What was the difference, Tommy?
I couldn't say too dense, but I mean, blackwood's dense, but it still absorbs water. The polypenko wouldn't absorb the water. So, you know how you blow, you get a certain amount of moisture gets through. Well, on the chanter and the drones with the polypenko, it just ran down. So it soaked the reeds, for one thing.
I had misunderstood when I spoke to you on another occasion. I was thinking that it was only the pipe chanters that he made used the Polypenko for, but he actually made the whole set of pipes with Polypenko, and of course that would be a disaster in our climate. It's terrific in Arizona and the various other states in America where it's extremely dry, and the African blackwood cracks and distorts with the very hot, dry climate of Arizona, for instance, whereas the Polypenko doesn't alter at all and it stays dry. And there's no way in our climate that you can, Canada or Scotland, that you can keep the internal bores dry in the drones, for instance. But I was interested, really, ignoring the bagpipes, how did you find the actual chanters, the Polypenko chanter?
They were all right, but they didn't have an intonation of you get off the wood.
I think it doesn't. It's not affected by the cold or the dampness or the very hot days. It's quite a rigid thing. It doesn't expand or contract. Whereas you got a lot of feedback in African blackwood, the wooden chanters, and you can have a wee bits of trouble with the weather, climate extremes. But against that, the wooden chanter gives you a much more vibrant sound, doesn't it?
Far better.
Did you use them elsewhere other than initially? Andrew Warnock produced the wooden chanter. Now, and Ian McClellan came along and heard you in one of your bands at that time playing the Warnock wooden chanter, didn't he?
That's when you get the idea of, you take some to try them, but I don't think he did anything. He tried them, but that was it.
That was for 2 or 3 years in the early 70s before they went on to Sinclair chanters in 75.
Because Sinclair had been out of business for a few years, you see. That's why we were changing at that time. We all played Sinclair, and Sinclair was put out of business.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, he started back again.
Uh-huh.
So everybody started switching. Switching back to Sinclair.
What about Geddes, pipe major, Armstrong Memorial Pipe Band?
He was a great guy. To Donaghmore, they were Armstrong Memorial. They were a direct opposition to us. Up there, it's Catholic and Protestant.
Yeah.
I had a Catholic band, Tommy had a Protestant band. But we were best of friends.
Aye.
I would stay at his place up in Belfast, he would stay at my place in Dublin. Like, we had no problems that way at all, but that was what the problem was all the time now.
You went on to play together with the MacDonald Memorial Pipe Band, is that right?
Well, I just helped him out for 1 year.
So you helped him out. What happened after that? What band did you go with after that? Did you go back to any Scottish bands, like B. Cal or anything like that?
Renfrew took me back. When B. Cal took them over, Renfrew took me back because B. Cal were able to fly me back and forward. So I flew over on Friday, practice Friday, contest Saturday, practice Sunday, flew back again. Anyway, I took over back with them again. And then when B. Cal stopped the flights, of course I couldn't afford to go. So Ian MacLeod was retiring from Edinburgh Police. So I approached him to see if he'd be interested in taking on B. Cal. Because I wasn't going to be able to travel. So he took over the band then. He
took time off from a competition event, a championship event, and they asked you to take over the band.
It was that year actually. He was going to be away for 6 months, and they found a way of been able to pay me to get me back. Anyway, so what? But then he went into these MacLeod chanters that he made, and nobody liked him. Even the band didn't like him. So when he went away, he said to me, "Don't touch my chanters." So I get the band together and told him, I said, Ian said, "I haven't to touch this stuff. I want to change back to Sinclair's. If he's all agrees to go, we'll do it." So we went to Cowell, swapped the chanters over at Cowell games. No, we get third.
Did you win?
And we played in their shots at Lockery, and we get third at the three of them. And come back. I can't remember his drum major. His drum major, he got hold of it. He said, "Ian will be delighted." And I said, "I don't think so." I didn't play his chanters.
I don't think so. So, did you get one in the year from Ian MacLeod when they returned
well,
to
I
the
was
band?
done then, so it didn't matter.
Okay, that's fine. No bother. That was you with the B-Cal. What happened after that? Has anything happened after that, or did you go to Canada after that?
Yeah, I went to Canada in '81. I don't think I did anything else before then. You test my memory now.
I know, that's what you were here for. Listen, what is it your job again that took you across to Canada? Was it the same firm or what?
Yeah, except, see what happened, remember, all the troubles were in Ireland at that time. And we had, family-wise, it became a big stress on my wife, actually. So we decided it was time to move. Yeah. So that's what made us move out. I went out there for 6 months and applied for jobs, and I got a job. I never had anything when I went.
And is that in your present location, or did you have to move around Canada?
I moved, yeah. When we went to up north, a place called Barrie. And initially it was part of the thing, it was more affordable than staying in Toronto. So that's how we actually went there.
And did you get into the pipe band scene fairly quickly?
I did, yeah,
in Canada?
There's a wee band, it's the Funk now. Actually, it was the same thing. They just kept bugging me. I wasn't going to do anything. They kept bugging me. I took them for a couple of years, but then they closed down. They broke up altogether. So I went to the Frasers.
Okay, and Bill Livingston, the pipe major of the 78 Fraser Highlanders then. Yeah.
Oh, that was
great. How did you enjoy that, Tommy?
He's a great musician.
Aye. Yes, absolutely. Did you have much an input regarding tunes there, or what did you do with the band? Did you just a piper?
No, the way he worked was when we were putting stuff together, everybody inputted. So I'd have an odd tune, John Wallace had an odd tune, and they put it all together, what they wanted, and they put it all together then. So everybody was contributing to what they were playing.
So what chanters did they play at that time? Can you recall? I don't remember. I know that eventually they went on to Sinclair's.
Yeah, I think that.
But I don't know what they played before that. I can't remember.
They were on Sinclair's when I went to them.
Did you play with... Tommy, were you a part of the band when they won the World Pipe Band Championships in 1987?
No, unfortunately, I couldn't get away from work.
So you had to remain in Canada, and the rest of the band went to
go
Scotland.
I went and tried everything, but I told if you go, you won't have a job when you come back. So I wasn't prepared to do that.
Oh my goodness. So. And did you still play with the band after the one? How long were you with the band?
And a couple of years after that, because I'd started teaching Peel Police, and brought them up from grade 4 up to grade 1. So then the two of us were clashing. I couldn't stay both, and I was enjoying what I was doing. I loved the Frasers, but I liked to teach in part more with Peel. So I left the Frasers and went to Peel.
You was Mike Gray the Peel Police?
No, Mike was still in the Frasers. Mike then took over Peel after me.
So that was what happened there. And see, you left the Peel Police. Did you, by the way, with the Peel Police, were you successful? Did you get any prizes there?
They did well, yeah.
What age would you be about that time? Into your 60s, maybe.
I think that was part. I think that was part of what was starting to happen. The age was starting to get to me. It's time to step back a wee bit.
Yes, I can understand. It's all right playing pipes, but to play to the high level required at the top end of grade 1, you've got to be really on your game. How long did you play pipes for after that, Tom?
I quit when I was 80.
It was the Peel Police, the last band?
Big band playing in, I started teaching Georgetown, a little grade 3 band.
Good.
So it was just working away at that level.
And then you retired from playing when you were 80?
I mean, I see people playing, well, even younger or older, but I mean, they're not playing, they can't play. And with me, if I couldn't play, I don't want to do it. So I figured it's time to...
you ever pick up a practice chanter?
I still get practice chanter. I still get little...
That's John Walsh's shuttle pipes. That's terrific. That's a smash and be instrument, that. Yes. Great. Tommy, we're just going to wind up now. I think we've done extremely well, and many thanks to you and the team across in Canada to help make this fabulous interview for Pipers'Persuasion. And you're looking extremely well and very healthy, and I hope you continue and give it another 50 years, hammer a pension fund or whatever, you know. And lovely to see you again, Tommy, after all these years, and you have no changed a bit. You look well, and keep it up, and many thanks to you and the team across there, and we'll just call it a halt at that. Thanks very much.